Today at ASD, students have access to world-class facilities and a multitude of opportunities to enable their personal growth. Keeping in line with the school's mission to inspire students to become positive, active, global citizens, ASD offers a wide variety of learning service trips to encourage discovery and the development of character outside the classroom.
Well, learning service focuses on the actual process that we want students to engage in when they approach an issue that impassions them. So in the past, when we followed a service learning model, a lot of it was very product focused. How much did a fundraiser make? How quickly the school was built? How quickly a house was put up? And not very much thought and reflection went into the actual planning, the reasons why such a project is necessary, and a lot of the issues surrounding it. So what we've done, or what we're trying to do with the new student service executive that will happen next year, is to refocus and re-educate students when they're working on service projects. That learning about the issues, investigating the issues is just as important as acting about them. Well, one of the key things that we're changing in terms of the overseas experiences that we offer students is we are bringing in what we call a critical issues strand. So these will align very closely with the humanitarian strands, which students here are probably most familiar with our project at St. Pius School in Arusha, where we work very closely with educational organizations. And what the critical issue strands will focus on is primarily learning about issues that are currently relevant with respect to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah, so in Tanzania, the whole idea behind the teaching program, which is what I was in, was that we would get about 10 people together and then we would plan activities, games, songs, etc. for the kids at the St. Pius School. And yeah, so we planned everything ahead, and we got there, we met all the kids, and we spent 3 days with them, and yeah, it was great. And it was kind of the way that because ASD is a sister school to St. Pius, and so in order to play like a holistic role in a like comprehensive growth of that school, there had to be a way that not only like would we build the school physically, but we had to get together and we had to make a way to aid in the development of the kids there.
So the two trips that we're looking at running deal with democracy and journalism in emerging democracies and how NGOs get started from the ground up. And those are going to take place in Yangon and Cambodia, respectively. The other trips that we offer basically work with conservation. So these are our collaboration with NGOs in the Maldives and in various parts of sub-Saharan Africa, which work on a very hands-on level with field biologists to gather data on endangered species. And of course, there is the Habitat for Humanity strand, which focuses specifically on providing decent housing.
So my name is Tala Obishbara. I am an alumni of the American School of the High. I graduated in 2010. And previous to being here at ASD, I had attended middle school in Japan, and they had the Habitat for Humanity chapter at the school I was at there. But I was too young to participate in that program, and it was always something that really interested me. So when I came here for high school, we did not have the program here, and it was something I thought would be really valuable. So I approached our administration, just asked if I could introduce the idea, see what the interest was. So I remember we had a full high school assembly in the auditorium, and I just gave a brief presentation about what Habitat was. And I asked at the end, who would be interested in a program like this, and almost everyone raised their hands, and that was a really encouraging sign to me that it was something people were interested in. So immediately after that, Mr. Clark snagged me because he had had some previous experience at other schools with Habitat for Humanity, and so he and I started working together, and that's how it began. I think one of the challenges I faced, I remember Mr. Clark, I was very lucky that we were working together because he had a lot of experience, but something that was new for me was fundraising and fundraising ideas. So how to come up with things that would connect with the student body that they want to be involved in and that they would support. And so that was a bit of a creative brainstorming process to try and find something that would work here. In terms of what motivated me, I think I remember coming at the school, and the school is so great about doing service projects in general. There's so many different ways to do it here, and especially now I think it's diversified even more. But at the time, I think I didn't want to just raise money and send it somewhere. You know, I wanted to do something with my hands, and that's what's so interesting about Habitat for Humanity is you actually go into these communities where families are in need, and you actually, with your hands, with your team, you build something that will last for years to come. And that, I think, just was a very rewarding concept and something I think we don't do enough of here in Qatar in general. So that was the biggest motivation. Something big that I learned from Habitat was that you can go somewhere totally new, not know much about the culture, not be able to speak the same language as someone, but you can still connect at a very human level. Even if you can't communicate directly, there's still ways around that. And yeah, I think the Habitat experience in general also really humbled me. From here, ASD students in general, we're so privileged, and so to have those cross-cultural experiences, to see realities of other people, you know, that really ingrained a sense of, you know, just a further understanding of humanity and a perspective on life that I didn't have before.
We have three overarching branches which address three very different areas of development. So conservation, the environment, education, so access to education, and with that we also work very closely with education organizations that work with girls' empowerment. So we collaborate very closely with Girl Up, which basically last year was the sponsor for the Nepal trip. And of course, the St. Pius School in Arusha, one of its main goals is to keep girls in school. Girl education in the developing world is a very important aspect of development in terms of education, primarily because it's been neglected for so long. And as far as if you look at who the major caregivers are and who the major community pillars are in many developing countries, it's women. So it's important to empower and educate those who really are the leaders in a lot of these communities, but are very often unsung.
My name is Sophia Hoyseth, and I'm the president of Girl Up Qatar, and I'm a senior here at the American School of Doha. Girl Up Qatar is a club that's at this school that focuses on fundraising and advocating for the education of girls. And this trip was originally brought to us by a man named Peter Douglas, who works at the United Nations. And he knows, and he kind of helped found this group called Himalayan Voluntourism that focuses on creating service trips within Nepal, focusing primarily on education, which was really perfect and fitting into Girl Up and what we care about. So he approached it to us, and then we became in contact with Himalayan Voluntourism about a year ago. And then in Eid of 2016, we held our first trip there with a mix of Girl Up members and other students. And we traveled to this small village in Nepal where we spent a majority of the time there working at a small village rural school in this town called Bandipur, Nepal. And we kind of set up a camp style thing there where each student brought in around 10 kilos of like stuff for the school because they didn't have a lot. It was like 3 concrete classrooms with benches, and then that was it. And we brought in paint and crayons and paper and bags of glitter, which in retrospect was a terrible idea. And we kind of just did different activities in different stations of just kind of playing with the kids, and then also teaching. We taught some students how to brush their teeth and their ABCs and the months in a year, and kind of set up like a camp style there, teaching and having fun for like around 3 days, and other days we spent in other areas of the town. I think it was a really valuable trip for all the students from ASD that went on it, because this is a service trip that focuses primarily on education, and being students and then going and helping at another school shows you how valuable your education is, and especially the facilities that we have here with the teachers and all the, you know, the books and the libraries and the classrooms, and how every kid gets a laptop, and how like impressive it is that we get to come to a school where there's just so much available to us. And you know, traveling to this town that has a lot of poverty, a lot of people who are not in necessarily the best situation, and then also getting an education and seeing how valuable the education is to the student, really makes you think about education in a different light and allows, I think, everybody who went to be grateful and to kind of understand what education looks like in other places.
I think that learning service is important because it has a long-term effect. When you go and you do something with an end goal, that's the thing, it has an end goal. Once you get there, you have no more commitment. But with really learning service, you understand the problem and you're committed throughout the rest of your life to try to do something about that problem. It's an ongoing commitment, and that makes people think more about it and hesitate to do things that are environmentally bad, and then it has a larger effect in the long term.
Learning service is not always about what you can accomplish in a week or two, but rather the focus of these trips should be the consolidation of new experiences, to better understand the lives of others, to learn about the value of our world, and to find local solutions for global issues. Thanks for watching.